So as a client, I got into the APEC CBPR framework. It was right at the infancy of global, but the benefits are wide spanning. One is I worked at a global organization that was operating in 200 countries. And, while we had a global program, I had really good answers for what are we doing about things like GDPR, what are we doing about CCPA, et cetera. And I was looking at APEC and I was realizing that it solves a pretty meaningful piece of the puzzle by having considerable presence in places like Latin America and, of course, Asia Pacific region. And I was really excited about this because at the time, DPF wasn't around yet, but it was Privacy Shield. And so we had this sort of umbrella vehicle between the United States and Europe to ease and simplify cross-border data transfers. And it was a great answer when clients of mine at GoTo, that's where I was prior, would ask, what are you doing about data transfer in Europe? And of course, we could give them a DPA, but some people wanted something that was third-party validated. So we worked with TrustArt. We had a third-party certification. We were trustee verified, but also we participated directly with the Department of Commerce in the Privacy Shield framework. But that was really just one piece of the globe, right, as you know, and it didn't really answer the call of what are you doing everywhere else? And everywhere else, we were doing a lot, but I had to explain over and over again, here's all of our program, here's how we meet LGPD in Brazil, or, Australia's Privacy Act, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the answer was just sort of, it was onerous to be giving that manual effort, especially when in the security space, people have started getting better at saying we have a SOC 2, or in Europe, we were saying we have a trustee certification. Enter APEC, right? So now there's this opportunity, a really unique opportunity to build what I kind of called a follow the sun data transfer model, where we had something that addressed the answer of what are you doing between, North America, the United States, particularly in the EU, but also what are you doing in some key regions in Asia and Latin America? Now, look, I know that there's a specific participating member list that Noel showed. However, the reality, in my opinion, is that as a client, I thought that was, in my opinion, a little bit secondary to the reality of the fact that OECD influenced the APEC privacy framework. The APEC privacy framework is effectively, and Noel and Maciek, please keep me honest, signed up to by all the APEC economies. So even though only some participated in CBPR or PRP, you're still going through the process of getting a validation with a third-party seal and a recognized framework that has requirements that are grounded and recognized by dozens of countries in that region. So it was super exciting, and I think it really simplified my own business operations by having an answer that was similar to what we had for some security stuff like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, like we had for Europe, which was that in addition to all the things that we do, we have this process through Trustee and through Privacy Shield. Now we have APEC. This did a couple of things. It simplified our answer during RFPs. It simplified our answer during negotiations. And critically, and one of the reasons why we got sponsorship, if you're wondering how do I get buy-in, was that at some point I remember folks who were responsible for Asia Pacific business units for a number of products, including LastPass, were saying, hey, look, we know we do a lot of things, but people are kind of asking, like, what else can we show to bolster that we have a privacy position? And this was a great calling. And that's actually why it was endorsed and sponsored, not only by, of course, the privacy team, but by the sales and marketing teams, because it was a useful vehicle to show that we're serious about privacy kind of everywhere. And that's why it was really exciting. And look, I think especially when Privacy Shield fell and there was that gap, it kind of bolstered the fact that APEC is really important. And it's why I think, in part, we're seeing these exciting motions around other economies and countries like the UK being interested, right? As these other vehicles and frameworks have changed, this has remained available. And I think seeing this global interest from like strong economies that are part of OECD and others is a really useful benefit. Third, and you can't ignore this, right? Having the seal, the trustee seal, is a huge marketing benefit, right? Having something that people can see quickly and easily on your website to show that you've done something, for example, in the APEC regions. You've done something, for example, for enterprise privacy, et cetera. It's just a tremendous overall benefit. And sometimes it reduces friction in the sales cycle. It improves trust, et cetera. So that was incredibly helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Val. I mean, it's really helpful to have a perspective of, somebody who has been part of the system for a long time. There's a lot of companies that have participated, well-known companies, Apple, IBM, Mastercard. There's only a handful. There's so many others, right? IBM being the first. We certified them back in 2013, I believe, right? So we've been doing this here at TrustArc for over a decade, and have been working with these companies who really, saw the same benefits that you have in it.
I'd be remiss to say if that wasn't part of my calculus to know all is that when we were looking at APEC and we saw who was participating and
Yeah.
seeing the kind of powerhouse organizations that were involved, I think it was an indication of the fact that this was something and we wanted to, jump in at the ground level.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Go ahead.
if I may add something to the benefits, we were talking about, so Val was talking about, a perspective from a bigger company, and there are great benefits for PRP or CBPR for smaller companies. So for example, for processors, maybe smaller processors who are trying to increase their accountability with the controllers, that could be a really good opportunity for them, but also for controllers to a great tool for vendor management and
That's a
vendor
really good point,
management.
Maciek. I did talk about my experience at a bigger organization, but ultimately, that was for go-to where we'd already undergone the Privacy Shield verification process through TrustArc. We get the enterprise privacy certification. I think the point is simply that, it was a good add-on for us, but for you all, if this is your first process, the benefit is the same as it was for me when I did my first certification with TrustArc, which is that you have a dedicated person. They guide you through the process, and it can help you to build and mature your own program, as well as the obvious benefits of reducing friction, increasing trust in the sales cycle, etc. But it can kind of serve as an add-on or as a starting block for you because of the additional benefits that you get working with a company like TrustArc to build out this program.
Yeah, and on that, enhancing maturity, the compliance process, the reviews, this is a continuous process for everything. So I think this is also a great benefit for the participating companies.
Absolutely. So I do want to reference, so the way the system was designed too, there's a compliance directory that lists all the companies that participate. And one of the things that was intended was that, remember, this is internationally backed, right? So that if you are, let's say, a data controller and you are looking for a company to work with in a particular region, if you could look through, let's say, the PRP directory for the privacy recognition for processors, you could already see sort of outset, here are the companies that have proactively taken the step to demonstrate that they have those practices in place, right? So it also sort of serves that purpose. And if you are that processor, right, then you're sort of on that list. Same thing with the CBPR, right? These are all, it's publicly available information.